Nightwing 118, Legacy number 305. This is Tom Taylor writing with Bruno Redondo on the art. And this, seemingly got delayed a little bit because it's like a week before the new run starts. But it's the final issue. It's a little bit oversized, not by a ton, but a few extra pages to give them the ending room they needed to finish telling their story. And it's pretty great. I think one of the things that stuck out to me is that, obviously it sets things up. It's doing stuff with Zuko. It's doing stuff with Heartless. And Dick's obviously going to have to try and sort of prove that he's innocent, and we get a big show of that. But I think what stuck out to me the most is that I think there's an argument that the first 2/3 of the book, I was like, this is very good, and I'm really enjoying it. But I was thinking, it doesn't feel like it's it still feels very light-hearted. It feels like Dick's just winning. And then Haley gets shot, and you're like, "Oh no, there's the darkness, there's the risk and the stakes."
Call me a bad comic reader. I had to know if the dog was going to be okay, because if Tom Taylor takes the dog with him, I was going to be very upset. So I peeked forward to the end, and I saw her there.
Yes, no,
I couldn't. Other characters, cool, whatever. Story. Dogs, nah. Have to make sure.
Nah. See, that last page to me is symbolic rather than literal. I think the dog's dead.
No, I don't think so.
The dog's dead. I'm only kidding to wind up Matt, but still, it's funny. I think it's okay. There was that extra little bit of menace that I think it needed there just at the end, and it got it. So happy with that. But yeah, Dick's whole plan here, he's got the Bat family all sort of try to find all the kids that have been kidnapped, that which is forcing all the people to work for Heartless that he's got working for him. And Dick just walks out and meets him in front of the public. Not in outfit, not in costume. He's Dick Grayson here.
Which is great because Heartless is claiming to be Dick Grayson.
Yes.
Right?
So it's proving to everyone, hey, it's not me. This is Heartless is someone else. And it's like, hey, the Bat family's found all the kids. They are safe. And immediately all of Heartless's henchmen just like throw down their weapons and start trying to beat him up, which is very satisfying, of course. So that's good.
I love that line, the quip that Cassie goes, the difference between your people and mine? My people actually like me, and it's just the people ganging up on Heartless.
Yeah.
His forces. So
he goes on the run. Meanwhile, we got a tease of this earlier, but Zuko was getting freed from custody with the Butler character, Heartless's Butler, who's the ex-serial killer. Well, I guess you're never an ex-serial killer, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Gerald.
Yeah. So Dick sort of changes out of his civvies into his Nightwing outfit. It's a fun couple of panels where he sort of runs behind a truck and comes out on the other end as Nightwing. But there's a whole moment here where Heartless thinks, he's got him pegged because Dick's still scared to jump off tall things. But Dick surprises him. We get a nice big full page spread almost of him coming down towards him and Heartless being in shock. Great speed lines and stuff when Dick connects with a big kick to the face.
Yeah.
So super entertaining. Good time. But Haley, the dog, comes running in to protect Dick when the Butler tries to shoot him with a gun. And this is where he gets a shot off at the dog as he falls into the water. This is where it really turns like, oh no. So a couple of big things happen here is that Zuko is dead. Heartless kills Zuko with his heart extractor gun. Although he doesn't take his heart, he actually hits him in the face with it, which is really violent.
And the way that it happens in the shadow is almost worse than seeing it in person.
Yeah,
not in person, but in full color.
Well, Heartless thinks he's doing something else to upset Dick because he's like, oh, I'm going to take your vengeance from you. You can't do this now. Now Dick's actually disappointed because he wants Zuko to stand trial and face his crimes, but instead Heartless has just killed him in cold blood. But Heartless's heart starts to malfunction, so he's still got Blockbuster's heart. And when Dick finds this out, he's like, hey, he took that from Gorilla City. You've got an ape's heart in you. Maybe you should have researched that first, kind of thing. So this all comes out while they're fighting, and his heart starts malfunctioning and whatever. There's a great thing here as Heartless is dying, as he tries to grab Nightwing's chest and falls, but he leaves blood dripping in the sort of fingers sort of location on Nightwing's chest. So you get this panel of Nightwing looking down at him and the blood like running down his blue emblem. Just really good visual storytelling. Really cool stuff. I also love the heart monitor on his page as he dies, where it gets slower and slower until he's dead at the end. And as he's dying, Dick's like, "Hey, you're not going to be infamous. You're not going to be remembered. Like, I'm going to make sure Oracle's going to erase your existence. No one will know who Heartless was. We did, but no one else will know. You will be nameless and faceless." And puts the mask on him as he walks away with the dog in his arms.
I just love that because he was heartless, right? But he's going to be nameless and faceless, so it's not going to matter. There's just a nice little tag by Taylor there.
Yeah, it's a nice big send off moment for the character. We also had the thing with Heartless where he's like mad at Zuko because he's like, I thought you helped make me become who I was because you killed those two, the parents, but you were trying to kill the kid. So it was almost an accident that he has like a bit of a crisis of character coming out of that realization. Yeah. So that's interesting. But Dick goes to his parents' grave, which he says that he's sorry that he's not done this sooner. And as soon as he said that, I thought about it and went, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Dick Grayson visit his parents' grave.
No, I don't either. Yeah, he's referenced the events and the people in the circus and whatnot, right? But never the actual gravesite.
Yeah, it's kind of a wild little thing that's went undone till now.
And I like that there's a semi-looking Nightwing logo on the gravestone, right? It's almost like he kind of co-opted that kind of imagery for his own use.
Well, I mean, even the name Robin comes from the fact that his parents were the Flying Graysons, right? And they were bird-related, so then that translated into the Nightwing logo. So, no, that's all nice. And he introduces his sister to them in a weird way because they're dead, obviously. And of course, one last little tug at the heartstrings about Alfred as Babs gives him the blue pennyworths to put down at the gravesite. And he's like, "Oh, you'd have liked him. He looked after me after you died." Kind of like I was like, "Oh, geez, come on, Taylor, you really tugging at the heartstrings here." So, and he actually whispers to his parents' gravestones that he wants to marry Babs. So you get that little thing there as Matt mutes his mic because something awfully loud started happening somewhere.
Again, Saturdays are garbage day, and I never know when they're going to show up. So I listen for the big truck so I can mute. But yeah, no, that I hope I get to marry her one day. I was like, oh God.
That was nice because the run was never going to build up to that permanent change. But I like the idea that Taylor's saying before he goes, no, my intention is that Dick would one day marry her. Obviously, whatever teams do, whatever with them, or if editorial will ever let them do that, that's out of my hands. But this is clearly what my intention was in terms of where I'm leaving the character. And the final page is just Dick and Babs in outfit with the dog looking out at the Bloodhaven. And we get this sort of watercolor background.
Yeah, it looks like the Van Gogh Starry Night at the top. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
here endeth the run. Yeah.
Here endeth the run. Now Taylor gets to move on to Detective Comics, and Dan Waters is taking over Nightwing. So, pretty solid damn run, right? We got a...
Oh, it's a great run.
When did he take it over? How many issues do we think it is? Did we figure all this out?
It was issue 78 till now, so about 40?
Okay.
Yeah, 40.
A very solid run in this day and age.
Yeah, 40 plus maybe a couple of annuals and a special or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the whole, and again, in typical, not typical, but in good Taylor fashion, he plays with our expectations, right? With the whole thing with Heartless and his, he thinks he's all powerful because of he took Blockbuster's heart and he's supercharged, and Dick just going, that was a gorilla heart. That gave Blockbuster trouble too. You would have known that if you were fully researching, and I just like that too, that it's Heartless's own, lack of care that's ultimately his undoing.
Yeah, no, a very good run, excellent run even. Not perfect. I wasn't as much out of the pirate arc in the middle. Yeah. So I'm not going to say everything was perfect. I will say this was a solid final issue. It had the emotional beats. It had a nice payoff moment. It had a good Dick Babs moment at the end. And a lot of things I want from it. I will say, I don't think this final issue reaches the same heights as some of the best issues of the run, I think when you go into a final issue of a run, you kind of hope it's the best one because that's the most satisfying. Yeah. I think this is a really good issue in the run, but it's not as good as maybe the top 3 or 4 issues of the run have been. And that's
Yeah.
okay. That's not that bad or anything.
Mhm.
But it's just, it isn't up there with the best of them. You know, like, take that as you will. But it looks gorgeous. It pays off all the things it needs to pay off. Maybe it doesn't do. Maybe what it's missing is like just something that's a bit more surprising in the ending. You know, it kind of plays out and does the things you expect. I guess Haley getting shot was the surprise, but
Yeah.
you know, doesn't necessarily have the ramifications perhaps that another bigger surprise might have had. But I don't make it sound negative though, because it is a phenomenal final issue that pays off everything it needs to.
It didn't really feel like a goodbye to the character. It felt more like a see you later, right? Like almost like Taylor has more to say about Dick Grayson, so he didn't have to throw it all here in this run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so which I appreciate. But yeah, you're right. It kind of, not that it was, because it wasn't anticlimactic, but you expect a much stronger type of an ending for such a good run. But no, yeah, again, pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I even think the way you phrased that there was a little bit too negative. Like, I don't think it's. I think it's a strong ending. It just it just isn't up there with the best issues of the run. That's all I'm saying. You know, the emotional high points are the more like sort of like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this with the book. That all came earlier, and I guess it's harder to pull that off with your last issue because you've set everything up and you have to pay it off. You know, even Ramvi's detective kind of you know suffered from that a little bit, where you know a lot of the fun of it and the excitement of it was realizing what they were doing with it, and by the time you get to the last issue, you've kind of like you know figured it all out, and you're just sort of seeing the last pieces fall into place. So, but no, very good, great end to a phenomenal run that I think probably does go down as. I mean, I think the only run that may rival this would be the original Dixon run on Nightwing, because I don't think there is any other big runs that are like notable enough to be like, oh, that's like special. Like, I mean, I know we like Tim Seeley's run at the start and Rebirth, but I don't think it was anywhere near as good as this.
No, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to blank on him.
And the New 52 one's not very good. I'll just say it.
Yeah, well, there are parts of it that I feel are really pretty solid. That I do like, but I can't even remember. I'm drawing a blank on the creative's name, and I like that writer. He hasn't done stuff for DC in a while, but yeah. But if I can't even remember the name, then I can't really make a good defense for it. So yeah.
Yeah. So there we are. What are you giving Taylor's final issue of Nightwing?
I'm gonna give this a solid 8.
Yeah, I'll go 8.5. I mean, I do think it's a great issue. It's just that there's been so many highs throughout the run that it's almost like a hell of a challenge at trying to live up to all of those issues. You know, it's things like the issue where it's all one big panel continuously, or you know, just some of the more emotional issues where like they really kind of tugged on the heartstrings or whatever. But no, great stuff.